You are listening to the Proverbs for Living a Fulfilling Life podcast. Hi, this is your host, Dr. Rick Upchurch. These Proverbs come from a lifetime of experience. My goal in sharing them with you is to help you avoid some of life's pitfalls and hopefully give you some tools to live a more fulfilling life. I hope you will ponder the proverb in this episode and take away something that you can use.
Episode 8. Things aren't always as they seem to be. More often than not, our immediate impression of a situation or a problem changes once we get more information, sometimes as much as 180 degrees. Unfortunately, again, more often than not, we make snap decisions based off of an immediate impression. Because of that, we get offended or even angry. We shout back and lash out in anger or defensiveness, or we cause others to be offended or angry. We form judgments that can ruin a relationship all in the blink of an eye. You have probably been the victim of this kind of snap judgment. You said something you thought was harmless only to receive a reaction way out of proportion. Or you respond to a situation only to find out that you were only making things worse instead of better. The best advice to avoid knee-jerk reactions and snap decisions is to slow down and wait until you have a better understanding of the situation. Take a deep breath and let your brain kick into gear before your mouth. When you make a knee-jerk reaction or a snap decision, in emergencies accepted, or when you engage your mouth before your brain fully catches up, it will almost always have some negative ramifications in your life. Take a few moments to breathe. If necessary, disengage or dampen your emotions so that you can think. Ask some questions. And try to think about the situation from a different perspective. For example, how would other individuals or groups think about that situation? And particularly consider the motives of the key players, as this is often a key to finding a workable solution. Motive makes a big difference in understanding what happened and what to do about it. Remember this: what happens on the surface that seems to be the problem is not necessarily the real problem. Trying to solve anything except the real problem is short-term at best and maybe like putting a Band-Aid on a broken arm. Not very effective. Making snap decisions, particularly if this is your common reaction, will also affect your credibility. People have trouble trusting individuals whose decision-making ability is immature and emotionally driven. Another title for this proverb could be Never Assume. I'm sure I don't need to tell you what assuming makes out of you and me. When you jump into a solution without having all the facts, it is more likely that your solution won't be a solution at all. Every time that happens, you erode the confidence and trust that others have in you. Real problem solvers make sure they get all the facts before racing to a conclusion. Taking even a few moments to gather your thoughts and any supplemental information available will make your decision better and build your credibility as someone who brings careful thinking to a problem. More importantly, it will also bring about a better decision with better consequences for all involved. Let me share with you a story from Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He writes, "People were sitting quietly one Sunday morning on the subway in New York, some reading newspapers, some lost in thought, some resting with their eyes closed. It was a peaceful scene. Then suddenly, a man and his children entered the subway car. The children were so loud and rambunctious that instantly the whole climate changed. The man sat down next to me and closed his eyes, apparently oblivious to the situation. The children were yelling back and forth, throwing things, even grabbing people's newspapers. It was very disturbing. And yet the man sitting next to me did nothing. It was difficult not to feel irritated. I could not believe how he could be so insensitive as to let his children run wild like that and do nothing about it, taking no responsibility at all. It was easy to see that everyone else on the subway felt irritated too. So, finally, with what I felt was unusual patience and restraint, I turned to him and said, "Sir, Your children are really disturbing a lot of people. I wonder if you couldn't control them a little more." The man lifted his gaze as if to come to consciousness of the situation for the very first time. He said softly, "Oh, you're right. I guess I should do something about it. We just came from the hospital where their mother died about an hour ago. I don't know what to think, and I guess they don't really know how to handle it either." This is a great story that illustrates the point that I'm making in this proverb. Things aren't always as they seem to be. Remember that, and slow your roll when making judgments. There is usually more to the story. Now, before I end, I want to share my thanks for Jennifer leaving a comment on LinkedIn for the episode on excellence in all things. She said, "I love this. I just recently cited Jim Collins' book in Management by Proverbs. I'm really enjoying your podcast and learning to adapt to words differently. Thank you, Dr. Upchurch, and may God continue to work through you." And to Richard, who shared on Facebook about the episode on All of Life Can Be Reduced to Relationships. He said, "Perhaps the best episode yet. They keep getting better and better. Thank you for sharing." These comments are greatly encouraging and greatly appreciated, as are any of the likes and shares. I want to thank you all. Talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to this podcast and leave a comment. I love reading fan comments. In every case, the information in these proverbs is merely the tip of the iceberg of information related to that specific topic. If you find that one or more of these particularly resonate with you, do a little research in the area, and I'm sure you will find more information that will help you. Don't hesitate to leave me a message. I'll be glad to help or point you in the right direction. May God bless you and strengthen you on your journey.